It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hello! I'm just singing. It's like I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of my imagination, my voice. I am not a singer, ladies and gentlemen, but I like to give you guys that voice of reason, and that's me. I'm losing my voice, but I'm giving it to you. As you know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us. Yes, you can call us at 631-965-4990. We're going to have a new number tomorrow, on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. You could also go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Download our app. How do you do that? iOS, which, by the way, our clips, our videos on the bottom now is working, Speedy, so there's no more problems. I fixed it, ladies and gentlemen, like I do everything else. But you can go to iOS. You can download our app by going to WWSRN, or you can go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Speedy Petey, how was your weekend?
It was good. I was here on Saturday, obviously, and yesterday we went with my aunt, went on a boat trip in Port Jeff. In Port Jeff, this guy Mike that she knows, and it was nice.
Boyfriend?
No, that's not him, but a guy that she knows. It was nice out, so it was actually very cool.
It was nice, but I don't like this weather. This is not the summertime. This is not the spring. We're in the fall time. It should be about in their 40s or at most 50. Okay, it should not be 70-something degrees out. 77 today. It was 78 at its max. This isn't the summer. This isn't the spring. This is the fall, and we're going into the winter, and I'm sweating my balls off. Jeez, man.
That was more information that was necessary. But
well,
okay.
It's true. It's true, man. I can't stand it. We talk about underwear and boxer briefs. I might as well wear nothing. I should go cold turkey because I was sweating my balls off all day. So absolutely terrible. It's horrendous. I do not like the weather. So unfortunately, I think the world is a lot worse than the weather is, but that's
if you go cold turkey, I'm probably going to need some wild turkey.
Well, there you go. You like wild turkey? How about sausage? Do you like dark sausage?
Do you know what wild turkey is?
No, I don't.
It's a whiskey.
Okay, well, I don't drink. That's why I don't know anything about wild turkey.
Well, those who do will know what that is.
You like dark sausage? You like sausages?
Yes, I do.
What kind of sausage do you like?
Spicy sausages.
Spicy sausages. Well, what kind of spicy sausage do you like? Is there a brand that you like?
I'm not sure on specific brands, but I know different types.
How about dark ones? Do you like white ones or dark ones?
Dark ones, for sure.
Of course. You like dark sausages. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, as you guys know, if you want to send Speedy a nice dark sausage, you're more than welcome to. Anyways, I want to get into week number 8. And yes, we'll get into the New York Jets, okay? Because we will get into the Jets a little bit later because the Jets are playing tonight against the Patriots. Sam Darnold will not be starting because of his shoulder injury. They have a little taste and little salt and pepper of Mr. Joe Flacco. So that'll be interesting and intriguing to watch.
One of the few nemesis of the Patriots. So.
Well, when he played for the Baltimore Ravens.
Right, big difference.
This is a huge difference, and this defense is completely depleted. Go look at the team. Avery Williamson's not there anymore. You don't have C.J. Mosley. You haven't had him there all year. You pretty much just have Quinnen Williams and everybody else, the outcast of nothing. But we will get into that a little bit later. I do want to get into Sunday Night Football, and I want to get into Tom Brady's disgrace. Okay? And I will say this, and everybody says everybody has a right to have a bad game. And you're absolutely right. Tom Brady had a bad game. He had a really bad game. But so did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the way, the last 3 weeks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not looked good. They played the New York Giants on Monday Night Football last week. They looked horrendous. They looked really, really bad. And to be honest, the Giants should have won that game. They really should have. They got They got robbed by the referees, and I really do believe that it should have been a penalty with the 2-point conversion. It should have gone to the 1 yard line, and they probably would have ran it in and would have went to overtime, and who knows what would have happened. Right. But yesterday was a disgrace by the Buccaneers. They were playing at home in front of probably, I think, 5,000, 6,000 fans. So, yeah. And Tom Brady was terrible. 22 for 38, 209 yards, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. His worst game of his career.
At one point, he had a passer rating of 7.7 in that game.
With all the weapons that Tom Brady has, and they added Antonio Brown to that weaponry, okay? And that's a bunch of weapons. You have Godwin. You have so many weapons from up and down, even their running game. You have Leonard Fournette that played yesterday finally. You have Jones. They didn't run the ball at all yesterday.
Yeah, the least carries in NFL history was 5, and that was including a kneel down, so it was legitimately 4.
They had 5 carries yesterday. By the way, Blaine Gabbert having one of them, okay, which gave him a -1 yards.
Yeah, kneel down.
I mean, 3 carries for Ronald Jones for 9 yards. Leonard Fournette had 1 carry for 0 yards. I mean, this was a display of nothing, really. And if Tom Brady, and you would think that Tom Brady was throwing 300 or 400 yards if they weren't running the ball. Oh, no. Tom Brady was 22 for 38 for 209 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Okay? So all you Tom Brady lovers that thought, and I've been telling you this over and over again, the Buccaneers are a bunch of names. That's it. You could put a bunch of names on a team. We've seen this over and over again from teams over the years, a.k.a. the Browns.
Yep.
A.k.a. the Browns. Everybody thought, oh, look at the talent on this team. From up and down, from the offensive line to the defensive line to the secondary to the draft to Baker Mayfield to Odell Beckham coming to the team to landing all the different weapons that they had with Landry and all the crazy, running abilities from Chubb and all the different weapons that they have. You would think that this Buccaneer team was going to be a competitive team against the Saints. And I also think that this bodes well for the Buccaneers if they play the Saints in the playoffs. And the reason why is there are very few teams that have won going into the playoffs, won 3 games 3 times against the same team in one season.
Yeah, the last one to do that was actually the Saints, though, 3 years ago against the Carolina Panthers. So maybe that bodes well for them. But the other issue for Tampa is even winning against the Giants, they struggled. They lost to the Bears Thursday night. Are they a team with a primetime problem? Because that could be a problem for the playoffs, too, if they do make it. Because, the NFL is going to do everything that it takes to get Tom Brady into primetime, whether it's the first round or the second round. Because they might play an NFC East team in the first round, and maybe they won't put that in primetime. But if they play the Saints or they play the Seahawks into something in the second round, if they win that, the NFL is definitely going to.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters if it's prime time or anything. Tom Brady is not the same quarterback when he played with the Patriots. Everybody keeps saying, well, look at how bad the Patriots are playing. Blah, 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 blah. Tom Brady's in one of the best divisions in football with the Saints and all the talent that they have in that division, and he's winning. And look, he's going to have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. Everybody was talking about the Buccaneers going to the Super Bowl this year, hands down, especially the way Saints have not been healthy, haven't really played as well as everybody thought they were going to be. Because they, all around, besides maybe 1 or 2 teams, they probably have the most talent all around out of all the other teams.
Now, a full pass rush arsenal, too, and you saw what that happened. Bruce Arians making fun of Trey Hendrickson, too. That didn't bode well for him.
Again, Tom Brady, you could say whatever you want, did not look like Tom Brady. He has not looked like Tom Brady for the last 3 weeks. Now, was he player of the month? I mean, statistics would show you that he was, but that doesn't mean – and look who the Buccaneers have beaten this year. Tell me what really stands out. Who did they beat that was actually good?
Green Bay.
That's it. One team. A Green Bay Packer team that was up 10-0, and Aaron Rodgers had his worst game of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. That is a very good defense. Everybody was saying that this is one of the best defenses in the league. It's not. It's not. They're 17th in the league for yards per catch, okay? They give up more. They're 17th in the league for most yards in the league. I think that they average, 240-something yards, 250 yards a game, which is 17th in the league. They are one of the best run-stopping teams in the league. But guess what? Alvin Kamara ran all over them yesterday. Alvin Kamara, you have one of the best run defenses in the NFL, and you had Alvin Kamara run all over you at home in Tampa, not in New Orleans. No, in Tampa. Tom Brady was not good yesterday. All you fans out there that keep saying that Tom Brady can play another 2 or 3 years, I will tell you this. When it comes to pressure, and I have told you guys, this offensive line is not good. This is not a good offensive line, and teams are figuring them out. You saw the Giants figure them out, and now you see the Saints figure them out. This is not a good offensive line. This was the second worst offensive line in football last year. This has been one of the worst offensive lines in football for the last 3 years.
Yeah, the Saints took advantage of that, too, because they had no Marpet, who's probably their best offensive lineman, so you really only have 2 good ones at that point. That left side of that Tampa line without Marpet is terrible. Donovan Smith's not a good left tackle, and the Saints were really attacking that. It was Cameron Jordan played great in that game, but it wasn't really him. It was Hendrickson, and it was Onyemata and guys like that on the left side of Tampa's line, the right side of their line, that was just dominating.
At 6:30, we'll be talking to Mets minor league catcher and founder,
Mm-hmm.
And founder All-Star Advocacy. Speedy, why do you put all this stuff? Just give me the information right on a paper. Why does it have to be a long, straight-up, paragraph of things? We will be talking to minor league catcher and founder of the All-Star Advocacy and Big Fly Athletic, Bruce Maxwell. Just say we're going to be talking to Mets minor league prospect Bruce Maxwell. That's pretty easy. We can talk about what he does right now with his foundations and everything that he does. You don't have to put a whole lunge of whatever you put down when I'm talking sports. You're a pain in the ass, Speedy, by the way. But getting back into what we saw this week, and I will say this. I know a lot of people think that I hate Tom Brady. I know a lot of people think that I think Tampa is one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. And I do believe they are a very overrated team. They have a bunch of old players. They have a bunch of players, honestly, that are, Adama Sue, what has he won? Nothing. Okay? We go, Brown, who they just brought to the team. What has Antonio Brown won? Nothing. Go look at the players. Godwin, who's been on the team with Tampa since he's a rookie. He's won nothing. None of those guys, besides maybe 1 or 2 players, and Tom Brady being one of them, and JPP, there are not many players on this team that's won a Super Bowl.
Not only that, there's a lot of players that haven't even made the playoffs. Tampa hasn't made the playoffs since Gruden was there.
I think McClendon won with Pittsburgh.
No, he wasn't on that team.
Oh, so he hasn't won. So
right.
If you go up and down their roster, and I don't know, I'm not looking at their roster right now, I would say maybe 2 or 3 people have won a Super Bowl. Bruce Arians won as an offensive coordinator with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he never won as a head coach. There's many, many players on this team, no matter what their names and statistics show on a piece of paper, they've never won a Super Bowl. And they have arguably one of the winningest players in Super Bowl history in Tom Brady. That's great. Tom Brady is 43 years old, going to be 44. He's an old man. Okay, old man in football numbers. But he's not an old man as far as his age. But Tom Brady is not the same Tom Brady. And I've been saying this over and over again. And this offensive line is not the same offensive line as the Patriots when they're 100% healthy. It's not. This isn't Bill Belichick. Bruce Arians is not Bill Belichick. He's just not. Now, he's a good coach. He absolutely is a good coach. Regular season coach, statistics would show he's one of the best in the league. In the playoffs, the guy doesn't win big games. He brings Tom Brady. He thinks Tom Brady is going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy that's going to take him over the edge. And to me, he's just going to drown him. Because I just think that this team has a tremendous amount of weaknesses.
This might have been play calling wise the worst game for Bruce Arians. Play calling too. He looked like freaking Ben McAdoo out there play calling all this conservative stuff.
They have a lot of weaknesses. Right now, what we've seen so far with this Buccaneers team, especially in the last 3 games, there's a tremendous amount of weaknesses that this team has. The question is, are they going to figure it out? Because if they play the Saints again like that, and believe it or not, the Saints are going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs if they win that division. And they are going to win that division. They're the best team right now in the NFC, hands down, when 100% healthy. You see what Michael Thomas could do when he opens up the field. You see what Sanders could do when you have a guy like Michael Thomas on the field. It opens up amazing opportunities for Drew Brees to open up the field. And by the way, Hill to me, he's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic weapon. He was the player of the game. He was all over the place. And you heard what Drew Brees said. He says, I've never seen a player with that much talent on the field. And he's played with a lot of great, talented players in the NFL. LaDainian Tomlinson, he's played with talent. Antonio Gates. Over there with the Saints, all the defensive players he's played with, all the offensive players he's played with. And he played with Jimmy Graham when Jimmy Graham was the best tight end in football. And he said that he's never seen a guy as good all around with the talent that he has as Hill. So it's fantastic. And you're seeing they're starting to move on all cylinders. And once they do, the Saints are going to be very, very dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with that home crowd, they might not get all the fans back, but with that home crowd, it's still a very tough place to play as it is. They only lost once this year. That was to the Packers, but even that game was close down the stretch for the most part. And again, in the playoffs, that's obviously a bigger deal too, if they can get that 1 seed, which is the only seed that gets a bye this year. So keep that in mind as well.
It's very, very interesting because when you're looking at the NFL right now, you look at the standings, there are a lot of teams that are starting to play well. Minnesota's playing well. Minnesota's won the last 2 or 3 games. I don't think they're making the playoffs. They started too late. But you're seeing them play for their coach, so they're not going to fire the coach at the end of the season. So if they're winning and they're scoring, they're going to keep the coach for another year. They're going to do that.
Right, and like I said a couple shows back, especially with a lot of young players on defense too, they'll give them another year to get them acclimated into that scheme. And if they still struggle next year, I think that's when he'll go.
The Giants win the second game of the season, and they played against the Washington football team. They're not a good team, but they won 2 games. And the Giants probably screwed themselves out of possibly winning that number 1 draft pick because I don't see the Jets, even if the Jets win 1 game, the only way the Giants had a chance is if the Jets won 2 games and they won 1. Now the Giants are not going to get the number 1 pick. The only team that has a shot at that number 1 pick is Jacksonville.
Right.
That's it.
Plus the Giants will probably beat the Cowboys in the next meeting anyway.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars had a chance to beat the Houston Texans yesterday. And J.J. Watt came out the other day and said he is not playing another rebuilding season. He's not going to play for a team that's rebuilding. So expect J.J. Watt, if he plays next year, which quite possibly could happen. He did say, I thought he was going to retire after this season. He's come out and said that he wants to play another 1 or 2 seasons. He is not going to be a Texan next year.
Yep, which means he'll probably go to the Steelers.
He'll go to the Steelers. I could see him go to the Cardinals. I could see him go to the Patriots.
He's from Wisconsin. Went to Wisconsin, Green Bay. That's a great fit.
Green Bay Packers is another team.
They need a player like that badly.
Seattle. Seattle needs a pass rusher. I could see a lot of these teams looking, and maybe even the New York Jets. The Jets need a pass rusher. They need an edge rusher. If the Jets open up their pockets, maybe they bring in a J.J. Watt for a 2 or 3 year deal. I could see that happening with Joe Douglas. They can bring in a player of that magnitude. They got a lot of money to spend, but. The games that really stood out to me before we have our guest on the show, Seattle losing against Buffalo. That was probably, in my eyes, Josh Allen's best game as an NFL player.
Yeah, shout out to him, too, because he lost his grandmother the day before. So playing like that under that kind of emotion is incredible.
Well, to me, just outplaying arguably in my eyes, the MVP of the league. And he did outplay him.
Yes.
Seattle, and Russell Wilson has a fantastic game. 28 for 41, 390 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Go look at what Josh Allen put up. And Josh Allen slowly but surely is looking like the best quarterback in that draft class. He really is. 31 for 38. That's over 90%, okay, in his throwing. 415 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Now, he didn't look good against the Jets. He didn't. But against a Seattle team that's terrible defensively. And by the way, Jamal Adams, who came back from injury, who the Jets got 2 first-round draft picks, a 3rd, and Bradley McDougald back for him. Oh, my God. Joe Douglas looks like a genius in that trade. looks like an absolute genius because Seattle's going to have to pay this guy in about a year, close to $80 or $90 million. That's what he wants, okay? And he has not looked good this year. What I mean by that is the games that he's played 3 out of the 8 games.
Yeah.
And he has not looked good in all 3 games. And you expect a guy that it was supposed to give them a little bit of a boost in their secondary, which has been a very weak part of their of their defense, really for the last 4 years, ever since the Legion of Boom was completely dismantled. I'm talking about Sherman gone. I'm talking about Thomas gone. This is not the same secondary we've seen, which was one of the best secondaries we've ever seen.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 years.
And a revolutionary secondary, too, with the bigger corners really changing the game. Now you're seeing a lot of teams doing it. And it's weird because the Seahawks have normally been good at replenishing corners in terms of making them fit in that defensive scheme with Pete Carroll, but they haven't even done that this year. Now, part of that has to do with a lack of pass rush. Their pass rush is god-awful, but, still, that defense is a mess with or without Jamal Adams.
Carolina was very pesky against Kansas City, and I'll tell you this right now, Kansas City has not looked good the last couple of weeks. You could say whatever you want about how good Patrick Mahomes looked yesterday and how good certain aspects of their offense look good, especially their running game. In the fourth quarter, they kept Carolina in the game. And Carolina very much would have won that game if that field goal went in. It was a 60-yard field goal, 67 or 65 field goal kick. And I forget what the kid's name is. I don't know.
Joey Sly.
Sly.
They tried him in that kind of situation, too, against the Saints to tie the game. I think it would have been the NFL record if he made it. I think it would have been a 65-yard field goal in New Orleans, and he was just short on that one, too. So they're confident in him. So
they're confident with all their players. Mm-hmm. Seriously. There was a lot of mistakes that Joe Douglas made, and one of the biggest mistakes he made, and I will say it, pot hands going over there to Carolina. Maybe when you look at it, he is a number 1 wide receiver. Maybe he is a number 2 or number 1 wide receiver. He's proven it this year. He had a fantastic game yesterday again. Mm-hmm. So, Robbie's looked good. Robbie Anderson has looked really, really good this year. He is an all-star. He is a Pro Bowl player this year. And maybe it has a lot to do with Matt Rule, it looks like it is because it's his old college coach, and he wants to play and wants to play hard for Matt Rule. But Robbie has been a good player in the league. He was an undrafted player. He played very well in college. He was a good player in college. He was just nobody thought his weight and his size was going to make it in the NFL. A lot of people were wrong, including Joe Douglas. He was wrong about Robbie. Yeah. And he admitted that he was wrong about Robbie.
The Panthers, I think, have been this team. They're kind of like the Cardinals last year. They have a tough schedule, and they've hung tough with a lot of good teams, even if they haven't won. They look at the Chiefs, they look at the Saints, the Raiders in Week 1, which are in a wild card spot right now. They're hanging with a lot of tough teams. I think the only time they got blown out this year was against Tampa the second week of the season.
They also didn't have Christian McCaffrey for the whole season, practically. Arguably one of the most explosive offensive weapons in the NFL, and they didn't have him for a whole season. So
he didn't miss a beat, though.
No, he didn't. He had a touchdown. He had 82 yards, and Christian McCaffrey is going to be a beast. And I think Matt Rule next year, beware of the Carolina Panthers next year. Mm-hmm. This team is going to be a good team. They had some defensive help. And to a very good defense right now. But they add some more defensive help to that defense, linebacker help, linebackers that could defend tight ends. This could be a very, very good team next year. And Teddy Bridgewater looks like he's the real deal. And I'm not saying the Jets were wrong because I still, at the time I believed in Sam Darnold. I still believe in Sam Darnold. But Teddy Bridgewater has proven that he could be a starter in this league and a very successful starter in this league. 36 for 49, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And to me, he played just as well as Patrick Mahomes, who did throw 4 touchdowns, 372 yards. He also plays for one of the best offensive minds in NFL history. So there were a lot of interesting games that really stood out to me. Tennessee beating Chicago yesterday. Tennessee played in the fourth quarter. They played practically unstoppable football. Yeah. Derrick Henry was running all over Chicago's defense. And Chicago's defense is one of the best defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm. They contained him for 3 quarters, but then he woke up.
He woke up in the fourth quarter, and he ran out the clock. And that's what you do. Playoff teams can control the clock. And I'm telling you right now, with this team, the Titans are going to have the opportunity with Derrick Henry to, if they get an early lead in the playoffs, they're going to be very hard to beat. They're going to be very hard, even though their defense isn't that good.
Yeah,
this year they have not been good.
They're going to need those younger pass rushers, those newer pass rushers to wake up in the second half of the season because, again, they don't have the secondary talent they did last year to make up for that. Their linebacking depth is still very good, but They need some of that to make a difference. And again, they're players that are definitely capable of it, Javian Clowney and Vic Beasley, but they just haven't played well.
Yeah, and like I said, Week 8 was a fun week to watch. And by the way, Tua versus Kyler Murray was everything that we expected. And by the way, I won this week.
Yes, you did.
I won this week. I picked Miami. He picked Arizona. And that was the only pick that we were completely different on. And I was right. So, Mr. Eric. I'm catching up, buddy. I'm taking back the reign. Okay, Mr. Coleman. By the way, Eric he's doing a pregame show for the New York Jets right now. It's probably airing on Periscope as we speak right now. And he'll be doing the pregame show, and he'll be doing the, the Monday late night CBS show. So, Eric, who worked really, really hard for the New York Jets, is slowly but surely going to lose when it comes to picks this year, because I am going to catch up. I'm only down by 1, right?
No, you're tied now.
We're tied?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we're tied, and this week I'll completely destroy him. I'm going to completely destroy him. But like I said, this was a fun week for week number 8. Arizona and Miami I believe, was the game of the week. I thought it was, and it definitely was one of the best games of the week. But the game that really stood out, what was the game that really stood out yesterday?
You wanted for you? You're talking about?
What was the game that really stood out as the game of the week?
I would say that game, Miami and Arizona.
Miami and Arizona, that was the game of the week?
I think so. I think so. You saw 2 young quarterbacks put on a great display of escapability, spreading the ball around. They did a great job. Miami's defense got a defensive score. That was the difference. That was really it. It was fantastic throughout, back and forth.
I thought, and I did pick that to be the game of the week. I thought the game of the week that really stood out to me in my eyes, and I know a lot of people probably would think that I was crazy, the Kansas City and Carolina game. I thought that game really stood out to me. And you saw that Carolina is a team that is going to be wrecking. You're not going to want to wreck and deal with next year. I think they're going to be a very dangerous team and a fun team to watch. Up next, we will be talking to Mets minor league catcher, big fly athletic. Speedy, I'm going to change this when we go to break, because this stuff that you're writing, this paragraph stuff, is not going to work when we're doing a read-off, okay? All right. We will be talking to Mets minor league catcher Bruce Maxwell here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You could also download our app by going to iOS, which is Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Well, we had some camera problems, and we have a very, very special guest. We are now talking to minor league and catcher, founder of the All-Star Advocacy and Big Fly Athletics, Bruce Maxwell. What's going on, Bruce?
What's going on, man? How's everything?
I'm good, man. I see that you're in Mexico, so you're all the way over there. How is it over there? Is it good weather over there right now?
I'm currently actually in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, okay. It says Mexico on his thing.
I live in Mexico.
Oh, okay. So, Gotcha. So how is it over there in the Dominican?
The Dominican right now, it's very wet. The hurricane that hit the bottom of Florida and everything's bringing a lot of rain the last couple of days. And so, but it's beautiful as ever.
Well, I know it's a beautiful country, and they have so many great places. The water over there is beautiful, very, very warm. I know a lot of people like to fish over there. So how are you and your family dealing with this pandemic?
I've actually been on my own. I haven't been around my family much, but my family's back at home in Alabama. And, I mean, they're taking as many precautions as they can. You know, my mom doesn't really leave the house unless necessary. Stepdad, same reason. My sister's a school teacher, so she takes all the precautions at work, but everybody's doing perfectly fine.
Well, what are you doing right now in the Dominican Republic? You playing right now in the off season?
Yeah, I'm playing winter ball for the Toros de La Romana.
Very, very interesting.
So, yeah, we start up on first game of season Sunday.
Well, the baseball season will be starting very, very soon. With everything that's going on with this pandemic, they're talking about basketball coming back 2 weeks before Christmas, hockey starting in January 1st, and they're saying baseball. When are they talking about baseball coming back?
I've heard it regular time so far in April.
February?
Yeah, February, spring training, stuff like that. That's all I've heard right now.
Very, very interesting. So, Bruce, why don't you tell us a little bit about your foundation and what you're doing right now, not only for your organization, but for baseball?
Well, I mean, my foundation, I guess, from Alabama, born in Germany, military family, and went to Division III college. Got drafted by the Oakland A's, got converted into a catcher. Have parts of big league time in 16, 17, and 18. Last year, I linked up with All-Star Advocacy. It's a nonprofit company out of San Diego, California. And our number one goal that has been for the last couple months is voter awareness. So basically what we do is we have our own website, and we have all of the ballot information for Southern California, especially San Diego, and basically we break everything down, every aspect of what's on our ballot, what's on the ballot for this previous election, and what we're voting for, all types of things. Because one of the biggest problems we have in America right now is a lot of people not only aren't registered, but they don't really know what they're voting for. They don't pay attention to what they're voting for, and so if you spread awareness and they acknowledge, their lack of knowledge, it might inspire people to look at our website or look at our forums that we have, and to educate themselves a little bit about their community and what's around them.
So,
and go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
And I also work with a company called the Lila Project. They're based out of LA. They specialize in providing mostly urban communities, whether it be after school programs or backpack school supplies when school goes back in a session, or around the holidays they provide meals and for these low income communities, and they also do food drives, food drives for passerbys, in a lot of cities in Southern California. So I also work hand in hand with them.
Mm-hmm. So you're mentioning you were born in Germany, and Germany not really known for baseball. It's obviously growing now lately, but they're obviously known for soccer, hockey. There's a lot of hockey players, basketball a little bit, but not as much for baseball. I mean, what was your experience like playing baseball in Germany, in, again, a country that's not known for it? And also, how much more do you think it can grow within the game? Players like you and Max Kepler and guys like that.
To clarify, I never went to Germany to play, but I do play for their national World Baseball Classic team. I remember when I first played for them in 15 or 16, I can't remember. We were in Mexicali, Mexico, and our team was very young, man. It was a lot of inexperience, a lot of heart, but just not a lot of experience. So we didn't do well in that qualifier, but we were actually preparing for this year's qualifier before COVID struck, and our team was a little older. They had some more time under their belt. I know they worked their butts off over there because I keep in touch with a lot of them, and we had a really good chance to upset a lot of people in that classic. So, I talked to some people over there that are trainers, that are coaches, and it's coming along, man. The toughest part about it over there is it's not very desirable because it gets cold so early and it stays cold for so long. And so not a lot of outdoor activity when it comes to that. It's kind of like in the States. Like, you don't find a whole lot of people playing baseball on the East Coast, but you might find a lot more people that play it on the West Coast just because of climate. It's just the world how it is. And, they don't have the they don't have the academies and the luxuries that we have in the States, because there's not a whole lot of them over there. They're in abundance, So baseball players are everywhere in the States, so everybody can, put together money and build a facility, a professional facility, and they just don't have that access over there like we do.
As you guys know, we are talking to Mets minor league catcher Bruce Maxwell. Now, Bruce, you were drafted in 2012, second-round draft pick by the Oakland Athletics. What was it like in 2016 all the way to 2018 playing for a major league team like the Oakland Athletics, a team that is an organization that makes the playoffs almost every single year, always falls short, usually against the Yankees or some of the top teams right now in the major leagues? What is it like playing in the major leagues for an organization like the Oakland Athletics?
It's historic for me. We play in that original stadium, and everything's, it's weathered, but it's like it has so much history in that stadium and in those uniforms, so I enjoyed it. My time in the big leagues was nothing short of adventurous over my 3 years, up and down. But that organization holds a lot of history, a lot of wisdom. A lot of the guys still come around. Your Dave Stewarts, your Ricky Hendersons, Vita Blue, all those guys still come around in spring training and then during the season. And so it's a big opportunity for you to get information and to learn from, walking, living legends, in that uniform. So it was very historical for me, and I learned a lot.
So what were some of your relationships like with a lot of those young players on the team? Because the Athletics are still a very young team. They've had a lot of different catchers that have come up and down throughout the system in the last 5 years or so. So what were some of your connections like with those players? Maybe some stories that you have in the minors and even on the major league roster. And also, what was your relationship like with both Bob Melvin and with Billy Beane?
When it comes to the players, man, a lot of the guys that are up there right now came through the minor league system with me. A lot of those guys are 12 or 13 draft picks that we were together since pretty much A-ball all the way to the big leagues. I'll be honest with you, I really don't have a relationship with any of them except one guy to this day. And it's Chad Pender. He's, one of my best friends. And so, I mean, I can't tell you, I can't speak for now or in the past couple of years because, our relationships really went to the wayside, but it is what it is. When it comes to Bob Melvin and Billy Beane, to be completely honest with you, I probably said 10 words to Billy Beane in 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is. I was young, man. He knew me, but it wasn't. He never. I very rarely saw him come down and talk in the locker room or anything like that. And he's super professional, and he has his superstitions, I think, and so you respect a man like that. Me and Bob Melvin, we've been through our ups and downs. I don't have anything bad to say about the man. He's very quiet when it comes to game time. He's a very serious person. He's got a lot on his mind, and I respect that out of him. And he's a good manager. He's a solid manager to play behind, and he knows his craft. And it was we never really had a personal relationship, but from a coach and manager, player manager standpoint, he was pretty sound.
As you guys know, we are talking to Mets minor league catcher Bruce Maxwell. Now, Bruce, you're playing for the New York Mets. You're right now playing for their farm system. And they have a new owner, Steve Cohen. Over here in New York, they call him Uncle Stevie. He's the richest owner in Major League history. And he's taking over a team, an organization that has been a laughingstock in the major leagues for the last couple of years. Yes, they were in the World Series a couple of years ago. No thanks to the Wilpons, that's for sure. They have an owner that actually opens up their pockets. When you look at this team as a whole with some of the players they have right now in the major league, some of the young superstars that they have, and they've had a lack of catching ability. That's for damn sure. Do you see yourself in the future maybe being called up and being one of the catchers, being a backup catcher or a starting catcher for this organization?
I do. Yeah, I do actually. We have a solid group of players up there. I know I played with a few of the solid guys down in AAA this year. And, I mean, they have a good makeup, man. When it comes to the coaching staff, when it comes to the players, we have enough tenured guys with enough young guys for everybody to gel. I think it's just a matter of time before we come out on top in our side. And so, yeah, I look forward to helping the big league team chase a World Series. Hopefully this year, I'll be in camp, doing my best and working my ass off to get that call and for them to let me know that I made the team out of spring. It's going to be competitive, but end of the day, we're here to win a World Series, not, pat each other on the ass. So.
Well, there is a guy that is going to probably be named the president of the organization, and that's Sandy Alderson, somebody that you know very, very well. You worked for you played for an organization that he helped build. Any thoughts of Sandy Alderson coming to the New York Mets and helping that team rebuild again? He was the GM of the organization a couple of years ago, came down with cancer. He winded up leaving on his own recognizance, and now all of a sudden Steve Cohen, who is a very good friend of Sandy Alderson, has come out and said that he wants to rehire Sandy Alderson as a president. Any thoughts to Sandy Alderson?
I mean, personally, at all times I've met him, I absolutely admire the man. He's got integrity. He knows his stuff. And I mean, I think he does a great job at his position. And so I think that'll be a great hire from Cohen. And I think he'll fit in nicely. I really do. Like you said, I know him personally, so I'm excited about it. Nothing against, Brody Van Wagen. I love the guy as well. And that was an unfortunate situation when it comes to the dismissal of our whole front office, but it is business. And but I'm excited about Sandy. I'm excited to see him again. I'm excited to work for him again. And I had no problems with him in the green and gold, and so I don't anticipate any hidden problems when it comes to the blue and orange, man.
We have a couple more questions, Bruce, and we're going to let you go. I know you're very, very busy.
So, what are some of the what are some of the differences in terms of the Mets organization from what you experienced last year, obviously a shortened season, to the Athletics, and also with Steve Cohen now there? A lot of people think they're going to become kind of like a big market team. I don't know if they're going to get to the level of the Dodgers or a team like that, but they're definitely going to be a bigger market team in comparison to what they've been in the past with the ownership. So what was your experience like there? What do you think it can be in comparison to last year, and also in comparison to the Athletics, who are always known as the Moneyball team?
I mean, obviously the Mets are a bigger marketed team than the Oakland A's. To be completely honest with you, but the facilities and everything are much better, much better. I just think the environment's more lively, around the Mets, even with no fans. I think there was a lot more support in New York when it comes to them, even though the Yankees are in town. And I just enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than my last couple of years in Oakland. These guys, excuse me, these guys really made me feel wanted, and they welcomed me. And I was surrounded with a great group of guys at the alternate site in Brooklyn. And, I knew everybody was there to fight together, even at the alternate site, man. So I look forward to at some point in time, sooner rather than later, join the big league club, which I know a few guys on that team as well. And to gel together with these guys and to learn some things, maybe teach a thing or two. But I like the overall experience better than my past organization.
They need a catcher, man. They absolutely need a catcher. I don't want to hear about JT Realmuto. I'm a Yankee fan. I grew up a Yankee fan all the way from the Don Mattingly era. So I can't move, but I don't hate the Mets. I don't hate the organization. I want the Mets to do well. Something they've been lacking over the years is a catcher that can call good games and actually hit in the clutch. So a lot of Met fans are looking for that guy, and maybe you're that guy. So I read a little bit about you, and you were the first major league player to kneel to the national anthem. Could you give the fans a little bit of your thoughts to why you did that, and really with the whole Black Lives Matter situation, could you give the fans a little bit in New York on the situation why you chose to kneel to the national anthem?
No, I chose to kneel for the national anthem to protest police brutality and racial discrimination in our country. I tell people all the time, I was like, racism has been around for years and years and years. And basically our country was founded on it. It's just now a lot more people have a lot more camera phones. The racial divide and the racial inconsistency when it comes to judgment in our judicial system is a big topic for me. I've been dealing with this racism my whole life, basically, from both sides, from growing up in Alabama. And so I take it personal. It's a big thing for me. What made me choose to kneel was the night or 2 nights before, Donald Trump had a rally in my hometown in Huntsville, Alabama, and he said it on the microphone on the worldwide television and called the NFL players sons of bitches, and they should be fired because they were peacefully protesting during the national anthem. Mm-hmm. And to see the people in my city support that and high five that and clap after that and vote for this guy, I was like, wow, this is a place where I grew up. This is a place I was supposed to respect, and to see that coming from the city that I claim, it really hurt my heart, and it was heavy on my mind for a day or two. And I was like, you know what, I can't sit back and not do anything with the platform I've been given. I was like, I understand that this might, this could potentially be my last day in the big leagues. But it doesn't really, at the time, my paycheck didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was way bigger than baseball. It was way bigger than my bank account. We were talking about humanity and specifically, part of my heritage, my people, that were more so victims of police brutality and racial discrimination than any other. So it was time for me to make a change, and it was time for me to step up for the people who can't speak and the people who can't be heard. And I continue to fight that fight today.
I absolutely agree with you, and also what the NFL did to Colin Kaepernick was uncalled for. I've over the years, and this has been going on for the last couple of years, I've always supported Colin Kaepernick. I think even though Colin Kaepernick really got the bad stick, I think people are starting to look at what Colin Kaepernick did as is something that you have to look forward to and really stand up for. And I give Colin Kaepernick a lot of credit. We are talking to Mets minor league a catcher, Bruce Maxwell.
So how did your teammates and the organization take that? Is it something you told them beforehand, and how did they react if that's the case, or is that something that was just an independent decision, maybe fueled by the other organizations you're with, and maybe your other friends outside of the game?
No. Nobody influenced me to do that. I had a meeting with everybody in the green and gold, coaches, manager, our GM. Trainers, bat boys, you name it. I met with them before the day even started, before batting practice even started. And I explained to them my reasonings. I explained to them some personal experiences of mine. I explained why it was so personal for me to do this. And I told them, when you guys get interviewed about it, be honest. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I was like, I'm not here to judge you on your opinion. I was like, I don't need you guys to lie for me. I'm a grown man. I was like, and this is a personal choice. I'm standing up for what I believe in, and it's equality for all, justice for all in this country. And so I addressed it to everybody. I even gave my team, my GM, and my manager the choice to object. I told them, if any of you feel that this is going to bar your reputation or threaten your family or whatever, then stand up and tell me not to do it, and I'll respect it, and I'll find another way to do it, because I'm not here to get attention. I'm not here to piss people off. Like I said, we still go to war together every day when we're in uniform. I was like, but this is something I have to do for me.
You have to respect somebody that stands up for what they believe in. And I absolutely, and by the way, I'm not a Met fan, but I'm going to root you on, man. I really am. I love what you stand for, really do. And everything that you've said, I agree with in a lot of ways. Now, I'm not going to tell you when it comes to politics, I don't talk politics. To me, politics are. I stand far, far away from politics. To me, I just think it doesn't help the economy in any kind of way. I think they're all thieves in my eyes, but that's just me. But all in all, I'm just telling you the truth, Max, Mr. Maxwell. But I called you Max, but my best friend his name is Max. So there you go.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
No, but I agree with you. Everything that you have said, I absolutely agree with you. And I unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the last couple of years that stand for what they believe in. And Colin Kaepernick came out and said that he's not kneeling, he's not disrespecting the flag or the national anthem. He's trying to look at things that is going on in the world with police brutality and everything that's going on in the world, and he wanted it to stop. So he was doing it stand. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. I mean, people say he was, and I've had this talk plenty of times, but people say kneeling during the national anthem is disrespecting your flag or your country. I tell people, I was like, my dad's ex-military, my grandfather's ex-military. I was like, I have cousins, uncles. I mean, you name it, I have them, and most of them are in the Army, which is what my dad served in. And I tell them, I was like, so you're telling me that kneeling for the national anthem in light of something wrong with our country that needs to be fixed is disrespectful? I said, but when you have a fallen soldier or when you have a fallen teammate on the field, the court, whatever it is, I said, what do players and other soldiers do to console that soul of a person and to also recognize and respect that fallen person? What do? They take a knee together. I was like, it's out of a sign of respect, but it's also out of a sign of there is something wrong that needs to be fixed. There's something wrong that's going on right in front of us, and we're acknowledging it, but we're still at the same time respecting it. And so I've had that conversation with plenty of people before. I've played football in the past. When somebody goes down, you and your teammates are taking knees around that person or on the sideline out of respect for the fallen. I was like, you do it in the military. You do it in sports. I was like, so now, over something that's like humanitarianly important in our country, now it's disrespectful. So that just showed me from the get-go that it was never about the kneeling. It was about who was doing the kneeling. And so it's just, and people don't want to recognize that. I was like, dude, I had a year in the league. Like, I wasn't trying to get exposure. I said, I was trying to do what was right.
Right.
I was like, I still go, I'm almost 30 years old, and I still have to watch where I take my mother in Alabama to go get food because my mom's a 5'1" redheaded white lady, because I don't want her getting any more looks, than she normally does. Like, I don't want to feel, especially in today's age, I don't want to feel threatened. And I don't want her to feel threatened. And it's just literally because of what I look like, just because my dad's black. And it still happens to this day. So I tell people, I was like, it doesn't matter if we have money or not, if we have millions or not. I was like, it's the point of when we wake up and we go to sleep, we're still African Americans. Like, we can't erase that. No amount of money is going to erase that. And so it was a little deeper than that, but it also showed a lot of ignorance from a lot of people, because there's been so many people that haven't wanted to even see the message, even to this day. They don't want to see the message. And those are the people that shun us or that try to degrade us by any way possible to knock us down to their level. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's just not going to happen, dude. I got too much integrity and grit in my body.
And you can only respect somebody like that. And I respect you for that. You stand up for yourself, and you have a platform now that you can use to stand. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't be using the platform to stand up for it, but hey, listen, if you have a belief and you believe in what you believe in, you should stand up for it. And I absolutely agree with you, Bruce. Yeah. And you did the right thing.
Think about in today's age, it's different. Like, sports are on a ridiculously high platform, and you got a lot more people that follow, like LeBron James and stuff than they do the president. Like, it's like, why wouldn't you use, in this day and age, why if we're talking about humanity here and caring about your neighbor, why wouldn't you use pretty much the highest platform on the planet for good? To bring up awareness for these social issues or these humanitarian issues that we're having, or this global warming issue we're having, or whatever it is.
Right.
Because everybody's watching. It's important, man. We need more of it.
I agree with you, but I will say everything that you have said, the things that LeBron James has said, you're nothing like LeBron James. That's for damn sure, because what LeBron James has said and what he has done not only to the league with everything going on, he was actually going to not play in the playoffs. He was taking shots at the NBA meeting, at players that he was saying some derogatory things, and you're not LeBron James. I could tell you. I mean, what you believe in, what you stand for, I agree with. What LeBron James stands for and what he agrees with is completely different, Bruce.
Well, I'm not. First of all, I'm not going to knock that.
No, I know. I got you.
No, I understand what you're saying. All I know about him, he's a great dude. He's a great teammate.
Mm-hmm.
His voice is heard more than most.
Absolutely.
More than really most. How he goes about, his business in the NBA and the position that he's in, that's kind of like a sport thing.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the planet, and he's the best player in the league. And
no question.
It's kind of like one of those things. Yeah. So he's got the tenure. So, if that's how he has to go about it to get people's attention in the league, then that's how he has to go about it. But see, the difference is in that aspect of things, like they also have the, African-American basketball players have the numbers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a lot more people that can be involved than when it comes to our sport.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those things. Like he might have been doing that to wake people up, or he might have been doing that to tell people that, hey, quit being selfish and let's all do this together, kind of thing. You never know his motives; only he does. And so, I understand your point, but at the same time, I'm nowhere near on the same level as him, so you can't even compare the two.
No, I know. Well, just think about it this way. You get called up by the New York Mets, you hit the game-winning championship home run in the World Series, and you become a big superstar here in New York. What do you think about that, Bruce?
You know what? I'll do anything to help the Mets win a World Series. That's for damn sure.
Well,
you get up there, it's about winning. It's about having the best night on the field, and I'll be damned if I get put on that field and I don't give my hardest to furthermore our team forward and to win a damn World Series, man.
Well, you have a Met fan sitting right next to me right now who is going to be rooting you on. And because, to me, I never even knew who you were until this interview. I respect you, and I'm going to be a big fan of yours. I want you to be called up. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you help the New York Mets win a championship, or at least get them to the World Series against the Yankees, and the Yankees knock you off.
No. Hey, we get there to play the Yankees. Ain't no getting knocked off.
You tell him, Bruce. You tell him.
We coming for their ass.
You tell him, Bruce.
Oh, man. But, Bruce, we'd love to get you on again. We definitely love to get you on when spring training starts. You could tell us about spring training, a little bit about the Mets and where you think the Mets are going to be this coming season. So we'd love for you to be a fan of the show and the network. So we really appreciate you joining us.
All right, no doubt, man. I appreciate you guys reaching out, being respectful, and being patient, man. It's an honor to speak to you guys, and it's an honor to be in New York, and definitely an honor to be in the blue and orange, man. I found a new home, and I feel like I can help them in a lot of ways. And if that means helping them, it's helping the fans and helping the state, then hell, let's do it. Like I'm all on board with it, man.
Well, when you come to New York, if you ever you and your family wants to come over here to Long Island, we'll show you some of the wineries. There's a lot of beauty in New York that you probably don't know about. It's very unique.
For
it's
sure.
very different. It's very different. The Five Boroughs is not Long Island.
I'll definitely have to take you guys to dinner or something, man. It'd be my pleasure, and I'd love to meet all of you. And yeah, for sure, man. I'll have a vehicle up there whenever I do get there, and it'll be fun, dude. I look forward to meeting you guys.
Absolutely, Bruce. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
My Instagram is The Dream Is Bigger 1113. My Twitter is Buffalo Blanco 13. It was my nickname in Mexico last year for my team. Facebook is my full name, Bruce Tyrone Maxwell III. And that's really about it. I honestly, I keep on my social media about baseball and about our All-Star Advocacy and the Leela Project. Nothing but positivity coming from all of my pages. So yeah, if you guys want to contact me, hit me up.
Absolutely. And I will tell you something. We need players like you here in New York, people that stand for something. And I really appreciate you joining us, my friend.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it as well, man. You guys have a good evening. And if you need anything, man, please feel free to call me.
Thank you, Bruce. Bruce Maxwell, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Such a nice guy. Really, really nice guy. I really hope very, very soon the Mets, he's going to be in spring training. He's the guy. I really hope that Sandy Alderson, he's coming from the Oakland Athletics. Right. Sandy Alderson was a part of the organization. I don't know if Sandy was a part of being drafted, helping.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far he was back with
2012.
Bruce. I know 2012. I think that summer or something is when he was hired with the Mets. He was Oakland drafted him, so I don't know if he was there at that time because the draft is in June. I don't know if he was still with the organization or what, but yeah, it definitely has some influence. And Bruce,
very nice guy.
Bruce says he definitely knows him, so yeah, maybe.
He's a very, very nice guy. Yes, and I will say this. We need more of those guys. We really do. Not only in professional sports, but in the world. Because he stands for something. He believes in what he stands for, and he follows through with it. And I was one of the guys that stuck up for Colin Kaepernick. I agree with what Colin Kaepernick was standing for. The way some of these players have gone upon doing it was the wrong way of doing it. But I think being who he is and what Bruce has done and how he stands for, and he believes in what he stands for. And a lot of things that he says, I agree with. I absolutely agree with. So nice guy. Really, really nice kid. And I really hope that the Mets look at this kid. He has a good spring training, and if he's not the starter, he's the backup guy, and we're going to see a lot of Bruce Maxwell. I really want to see him and get to meet him because I think he's a nice kid, really sincere kid.
Yeah, and he's really doing a great job, like you said, with positivity. Both his organizations have worked with different people, different kids, even if they're not baseball players, if they're just people in general. He's really had a great influence. He comes from a military family, born in Germany, so he has some international influence, and obviously connecting with a lot of baseball players from all different cultures too. He really has done a great job.
Very well spoken. Yes, very well spoken. You can tell by the way he was raised. He must have great parents. Very well spoken, and the kid, the kid stands for something. You can't take a shot at somebody for what they stand for, and I wouldn't do that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a politician, and I'm not. As you can hear, you heard it in my voice when I was telling him. He was giggling too. I don't agree with any of the politics that are going on in the world. But all in all, what you believe in, what you stand for is what your heart believes. And he stands for something big and bigger than himself, and I agree with him. Yeah. You go out and do what is right, and that is what is right. So when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will get into more with the NFL. We'll talk about the New York Jets, and we'll get into some basketball conversation. Next week, the NBA draft. Do the Knicks move up for LaMelo Ball? I will get into that when we come back here on Down to the Wire.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
A little Public Enemy, ladies and gentlemen. A little Flavor Flav. Right. Clock on my neck. Smack Speedy in the back of the head. As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Yes, you can hear our show on the Weekend Crunch every single Saturday. I'll tell you this. I am tired, ladies and gentlemen. You can call us at 631-965-4990. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Call us at 631-965-4990. By the way, I said 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. I was making a joke. We are on the LI News Radio Network every single Saturday. from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time. It was a great show this weekend with Mr. Eric Coleman. His outlandish thoughts and his craziness really hit the radio waves on 103.9 here on Long Island. What are you laughing at? What are you giggling at?
His craziness, yeah.
Yeah, he was wrong, by the way. I was right. He was wrong. What else is new? I'm always right. He's always wrong. By the way, you can actually listen to Eric Coleman right now or check him out on Periscope. Watch the pregame show with Eric Coleman and what's his name again? Eric, the other guy that he works with. I forgot his name. I forgot. But Eric is right now talking and speaking like he always does and scaring people away. I'm just kidding, Eric. Anyways, I want to finish up with some football, and I want to get into the NBA, and I want to talk about the New York Knicks. The draft right around the corner, actually. It's crazy how fast, how slow it's gone, but how fast it's coming. But what stood out to you over the week number 8 for the NFL?
I think the fact that there were so many close games and a lot of high-scoring games. We mentioned earlier the Seahawks and the Bills. That was a big statement game for Buffalo. I think a lot of people were doubting, could they beat a good team? That's always the knock on these certain teams.
Seattle hasn't played well for the last couple of weeks either.
No, they haven't, but it's that top team that they needed to beat. They were just coasting through the AFC East. They were coasting through some easier games in the AFC West and stuff like that. So they really needed that impact win. And again, Eric mentioned it on the Weekend Crunch that Seattle's normally a team that has done well on the East Coast in the past, but not this time. And Josh Allen, with all that considered, he lost his grandmother. Not every athlete can play through that kind of emotion like that the way he did. And I don't care who the opponent. I don't care how bad the Seahawks defense is. To play like that is incredible the way he did.
Oh, he played. He had his best game as an NFL player.
I think so too, yeah.
He threw 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, over 400 yards. I mean, he outdueled arguably the MVP of the league in Russell Wilson. So to try to compare and contrast what he did, losing his grandmother and actually playing on Sunday's football game is fantastic. It's a fantastic story. We saw, I would say about over 14, 15 years ago, Brett Favre do that when his father died on Monday Night Football, and he threw 5 touchdowns, if you remember.
Yep.
Fantastic. Probably Brett Favre's best game. Definitely, if you ask Brett Favre, what is the most remembered game he remembered in his career, he'd probably tell you that game when his father passed away, and he went out there and he threw 5 touchdowns, I think he threw over 400 yards in that game, and he was I think almost 500 yards in that game. He was fantastic, and he had one of his best games of his career. And Brett Favre, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, he won a Super Bowl. You would think that he would say the Super Bowl, and when he won a Super Bowl the way he did against the New England Patriots. No, I think it was when his father passed away, and he had that game. A game. Who did he play? I'm not positive who he played.
I don't remember. I'll look it up.
But anyways, it was a fantastic week for football. It really was. And tonight's game, Monday Night Football, is not going to be a fantastic game. A battle of 2 really bad teams. The New England Patriots have been a thorn in everybody's ass for the last 20 years with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Now Tom Brady is playing for the Buccaneers, who got their butts whipped on Sunday Night Football. But what game? What game, Speedy?
It is December 22nd,
the Raiders.
2003
Okay,
against the Raiders.
All right, you could spit it out, Speedy. That's something. By the way, if anybody knows anything about Speedy, when he gives me the guest that we're talking to, he gives me a paragraph of stuff to read off, which is ridiculous. Just give me the guy and who he plays for, not a whole bunch of crap that I'm not going to use, all right? But it was a fun week in football. Tonight's game, the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. The Jets are an organization that's just completely falling apart. We talk about this all the time. The Adam Gase situation. What are the Jets going to do with Adam Gase in the offseason? Are they going to fire him? Is he a solution of this organization? I believe they're going to fire him. But all in all, this is a team that is trading off pieces. They're trying to rebuild in the draft. The question is, going into tonight's game, is Bill Belichick willing to lose a game to give him a shot or give him an opportunity to possibly get that number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence? I know a lot of people are saying that the Jets have a very good chance of winning tonight's game. I don't know where you think that the Jets are going to win this game tonight. First of all, you don't have your starting quarterback. You have your backup quarterback and Joe Flacco, who's about 80 years old. Okay? You don't really have a defense anymore. You traded off all your captains. McGlennon is playing for the Buccaneers. Avery Williamson, who's a captain, is playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jamal Adams is playing for the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, go up and down their roster right now. All their captains are gone. They really are. Except Sam Darnold and maybe a couple other pieces, this is a young team. And do I trust Cam Newton on going into Sunday Night Football and winning this game against the New York Jets? I trust Cam Newton more than I trust Joe Flacco with the New York Jets. Here's the thing I want to see with the Jets tonight, and this is what I want to see. I want to see a lot of Denzel Mims. I want to see Joe Flacco air the ball out and get the ball to their young wide receiver, something they did not do in last week in week 7. Week 8. This is week 8 because it's week 9 now. Yep. I want to see Joe Flacco air the ball out. Now, Jamison Crowder I think he's going to play tonight. I don't want to see a lot of throws to Jamison Crowder. I want to see the young players. I want to see the LaMichael Piron. I want to see what he can do on the field. I don't want to see Frank Gore. Okay, we know what Frank Gore is. He's about 48 years old. He's an old man, and he's on his way out. We know he's a Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest running backs to ever play the game, and he's a fantastic leader and captain for this New York Jet team. I don't want to see Frank Gore. I want to see LaMichael Piron. I want to see Denzel Mims. I want to see Quinn Williams. I want to see Mekhi Beckham. I want to see these young players. I want to see how they're developing. You know, that's what everybody wants to see. I don't want to see a bunch of old players playing on the field because they give Adam Gase the best chance to win. Adam Gase, guys, is a joke, an absolute joke. He's been an absolute joke since he's come to this organization. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you liked Adam Gase. I liked Adam Gase when it came to Matt Rule, and boy, was I wrong. Okay, Matt Rule has been successful in his first year. He's actually been a very good coach and a very good leader for the Carolina Panthers. Got paid a boatload of money, a lot of money. And I wouldn't have paid Matt Rule $9 million or $8 million a year what he's getting. He's getting John Gruden kind of money. And this is a guy that's never been an NFL coach. He's been a college coach, and not a successful college coach, to be exact. I mean, he coached Temple, okay? Temple, how many national title games did we see them win? None. How many times did we see Temple win a bowl game? Not many. Okay, so Matt Rule, who was a part of the New York Giants organization when they won the Super Bowl in 2007, the Tom Coughlin tree, he's part of the Tom Coughlin tree. Maybe the Carolina Panthers have something. Maybe they do.
Like I said, I think they're like the Cardinals last year. They're hanging tough, and that's what you see in a competitive team. And then once they get the other players, they get the free agents, they make it work, and they are more than capable of doing that with their team really young. McCaffrey's a big contract, and Anderson they signed just for $10 million, but they'll probably give him a big contract now that he's playing well. But beyond that, there's not really a lot of players making money on that team. And they have a lot of money to work with, and the new owner they got, too, is one of the richest owners in the NFL, so I could definitely see that kind of thing happening.
And looking at the Jets are going to have a lot of money to spend in this offseason. They're going to have about $88 million. They have a chance to get the number 1 pick. They got Seattle's number 1 pick. If they trade Sam Darnold in the offseason, they could get a late 1 or 2 number 2s and a 3. They're going to have a significant amount of picks, an amount of draft picks that Joe Douglas at his disposal, and a lot of money. So I don't know if Joe Douglas is going to go after free agents like McCagnon did, and throwing away money to Le'Veon Bell or C.J. Mosley, who has only played 1 game in 2 years. But I could see Joe Douglas going after players that he thinks will fit the culture and fit the mold of where he thinks this organization is moving and where they think they're going to move forward with. So tonight, I think this is going to be a complete, utter, ridiculous, boring game. I really do believe that. I think Cam Newton is going to run all over the Jets defense. I really do. And even though the Jets defense is one of the top 3, top 4 run defenses in the league, and all thanks to Quinn Williams, who's been a beast behind the line of scrimmage, especially stopping the run, losing all the players that they lost in the last 2 years, the Leonard Williams of the world, now the McLennan. I mean, they've lost a lot of pieces in the front 7, and still Quentin Williams is beasting. He is absolutely feeding off offensive lines in the NFL. So
see what happens when you actually play him more than 30% of snaps.
He's playing. He's playing. Now, a lot of Jet fans want to see more sacks. When they add a pass rusher and they change their defense to a 4-3, I think that's when you're going to really see a dangerous and a dominant Quinn Williams. Right. And you see what Leonard Williams is doing with the New York Giants in a 4-3. Just imagine a better, more athletic player, bigger, stronger, faster player Quinnen Williams at the line of scrimmage in a 4-3 defense.
His pressure rate, even being a 3-4 guy, is still in the top, I think, 15 in the league, too, which is incredible.
So Quinnen Williams is a fantastic player. I think the Jets have something over there. They had some pass rushers on the other side. I think you're going to have a very good defense in the near future. Make him happy. Let him stay on this team. Don't try to trade him in the offseason. They were trying to trade him at the trade deadline. There were stories coming out, and then there were stories coming out that there was no way in hell the Jets were trading Quinnen Williams. So
yeah, it might have been just a sell high kind of thing to see if they could get a team to make a ridiculous offer or something like that.
I don't see the Jets trading Quinnen Williams, but he's a part of the solution, not a part of the guys that they're trying to get rid of. So he's still under. He's still 3 years away from being a free agent. So you have control of him for 3 years, and then you pay him. And if he's a top defensive lineman in the league, in 3 years, you pay him a lot of money. He's worth it. So I don't know if he's Aaron Donald like they're trying to compare and contrast to, but he's a different type of player than Aaron Donald. I think he does things better than Aaron Donald, that's for sure. So it's going to be an interesting night. I don't think the Jets are going to win this game. A matter of fact, I'm pretty much predicting the Jets aren't going to win this game. But I think the Jets will keep it close. I really do. I think the game will be close early in the game. And I think in the third and fourth quarter, that's where Bill Belichick is going to start piling up the points and trying to destroy the New York Jets. And that's why a lot of people think that the Jets will try to win this game and the Patriots will let the Jets win this game because they want to screw the Jets on getting that number one pick. I cannot see Bill Belichick choking in this game to give the Jets, give them the opportunity to lose the first round draft pick.
That should be the last
the number
thing
one
on his
pick
mind.
in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're 2-6, that's going to be a bad look for him too. Not that he wasn't great before that, but the questions are going to come. Can he do it without Tom Brady and all that stuff? So,
by the way, John Ferris is actually writing to us right now. He said, "Who did the Falcons release?" Well, McKinley. They released McKinley. I could see the Seattle Seahawks bringing him in. He fits what the Seattle Seahawks need. You saw it even yesterday, even with Carlos Dunlap. Carlos Dunlap is a good pass rusher. He hasn't been a good pass rusher for like 3 years. Right. I mean, he hasn't been a top pass rusher for 3 years. You bring in a young player like McKinley. Now, has he really succeeded with the Falcons? Not really. But I think if you put him in the right position in the right situation, I think you can figure him out and maybe bring out the better in McKinley.
And he's well-rounded, too.
Yeah.
He just hasn't had a lot of chance to develop because, one, he's had a lot of injury problems in the NFL. And number two, the 1 year he was healthy for the most part, in 2018, the Falcons lost Deion Jones, they lost Keanu Neal, they lost all these other guys, and their defense was decimated, so he was double-teamed a lot of the time. Vic Beasley's now gone, so he hasn't played well this year either, so that makes it a lot harder for him. But he is still skilled, and the Seahawks have always done effectively, not lately, but for the most part effectively in getting in speed rushers, which is mostly what his game is.
And as far as Carl is saying, he keeps saying Tua. Tua did not outplay Kyler Murray yesterday. Okay, if you want to go back and forth on who had a better game, I would say Kyler Murray played better than Tua. The thing that really stood out to me again was Miami's defense in the fourth quarter. Who has the better defense? And Miami, say whatever you want about the disciples of Bill Belichick's tree. Brian Flores has been fantastic. Yeah. He's been a fantastic coach. You see what the players are playing for him. It's a fantastic story. If anybody knows about Brian Flores, and I said this on the Weekend Crunch, he reached out to all 32 teams in the NFL. The only team that answered back to him was Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And he was brought to the team as a defensive mind, and then he became a defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots 3, 4, 5 years ago. And now he's coaching, and he's a manager. He's the coach of the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Dolphins are getting better and better every single year.
And I think a lot of these Belichick disciples, the reason they haven't succeeded is they try to be him too much, and I don't think Flores has done that. He's really created his own identity with the Dolphins. Now, I do think to an extent, even though they brought in a lot of the free agents that were expected to be starters, he's still trying to play his guys. He's trying to play the guys that or either the hardest workers or fit the formations the most. I still think he's doing that to an extent, but he's not really nitpicking on everything, and he's working with young players well, which obviously Belichick did too to an extent, but a lot of these other coaches, they don't have trouble working with these younger players in a newer NFL. They want to be workable with these players, and Flores, who's still a young guy, has done a great job with that as well.
Oh, he's been fantastic. He's going to be up for Coach of the Year. Absolutely. If Miami makes the playoffs, I could see him winning Coach of the Year. I really. And Kingsbury's had a fantastic season too. Even though I don't think it has anything to do with him, Kyler Murray has been fantastic. And by the way, John Ferris is absolutely right. Kyler Murray had 105 yards running yesterday. He threw the ball over almost 300 yards. I mean, Tua made the throws. He made the big throws at the end of the game, which gave them the win. But if you want to tell me who had a better game, Kyler Murray or Tua, I'm going to tell you Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's the better quarterback.
Kyler Murray is actually second in the league this year in runs of 10 or more yards with 23. Even with all the great running backs there are, only Dalvin Cook has more than him right now.
Mm-hmm. And John, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of teams and a lot of players that actually respect Miami now, and they actually have a coach that is very well respected around the league. And there are going to be players in free agency that are going to want to go over there and play over there with Brian Flores and some of the players that they have, and maybe with Tua. They're playing fantastic football right now. And right now, if they continue playing the way they are, they're playing the L.A. Chargers next week. Justin Herbert. I do still believe that Justin Herbert is the best player, the best quarterback in that draft class. I do believe that. Now he's playing for an L.A. Charger team that's practically given up on the coach. Giving up on the team, and you could see it. They're a team that's in the game because of Justin Herbert.
They're the best first half team in the league and the worst second half team in the league.
I don't know what did Justin Herbert do yesterday. What was his numbers yesterday?
I think it was 248 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to look
against what is a bad Raiders secondary for the most part. But again, he actually played steadily throughout the whole game.
No. Justin Herbert, 28 for 42, 326 yards,
okay,
and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mm-hmm. I do believe that Justin Herbert is going to be the best quarterback in this draft class. Mm-hmm. I thought that at the draft. Yes, I said that Justin Herbert was going to be the best quarterback in this class. And don't forget about Mr. Green Bay Packer. And I've said this, Jordan Love is going to be a good quarterback in this league.
Yeah, and Dave Damashek, who we had on right after the draft too, he was a little skeptical of Herbert, and he's probably eating his words now.
Yeah, well, tell Damashek to kiss my rear end, okay? Mr. Damashek. I'm just kidding, Dave.
He's great.
I'm just kidding, Dave. But he also thought that the Buffalo Bills were going to be the team that was going to win the AFC East, and he was right about that. So was Miss
Cynthia Freeland,
who I would love to get back on, by the way. I love her. Absolutely love her on the show. Sunday, what do they call it?
Sunday game day morning.
Game day morning. I think she's a beautiful woman, and she's awesome. She really is awesome. She knows her stuff.
Yes.
Mathematically, she knows the analytics and everything. So Cynthia Freeland is a great. If you like analytics, go check out our show on Sunday morning. But 2 weeks in a row, Chargers lost on the last play. Yep. Absolutely, John Ferris, I absolutely agree with you.
Least clutch team in football.
No, it has nothing to do with Justin Herbert. It really doesn't. Nope. You cannot blame Justin Herbert because some of the players aren't playing. But they have Keenan Allen is a good player. Keenan Allen has been a good player in the league. A matter of fact, I could say that Keenan Allen is a borderline Hall of Famer. I mean,
if he was able to stay healthy more, I probably would agree.
I mean,
with
he's
you.
a borderline. He's a borderline.
He's close. Yeah.
If you look at his numbers, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a guy that averages in healthy seasons 1,000 or more yards every single season. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's been a successful wide receiver in the league, and he was a second-round draft pick. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even a first-round draft pick.
I thought he should have been Rookie of the Year, the year that Eddie Lacy won in 2013. I thought he should have been Rookie of the Year that year.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so intriguing, so interesting when you look at the NFL and you look at some of these teams, and I know a lot of people want to compare and contrast some of these teams. And I listened to Ryan Hickey's show today. If you guys haven't checked out Ryan Hickey's show, it's every Monday and Thursdays in the morning. Great show. Analytically, he gets into all different, not only just college football, but the NFL. And he said some interesting things. And he mentioned Justin Herbert. The thing that everybody doesn't understand about Justin Herbert is this is a kid that decided to play his senior year of college. He could have went in the draft with the Kyler Murrays. He could have went into the draft with the Daniel Joneses and all that other stuff and been compared to those. Instead, he's going to be compared for the rest of his career to Tua and probably a better quarterback class, So I think if Justin Herbert went into the draft before that, I would have said that he was the best quarterback in that draft class too.
Right. I mean, he wouldn't have been the number one pick because of Kingsbury, but he would have probably, I would agree with you on that in terms of a prospect. But he also did grow in terms of as being a pocket passer his senior year at Oregon, and that's really making a difference because he was very good out of the pocket before that, making tough throws. But in the pocket, he needed to get his decision-making on. And while he still has had some bad interceptions, his decision-making has been very good for the most part. And you're right, definitely not his fault that they lost. He threw a great pass to Mike Williams, and the defender jarred out. It was a nice play. And then the other one, the last play of the game, the receiver just lost on the way down.
Remember I said this, guys. I said it. Justin Herbert is going to be a star in this league. He is going to be an MVP in this league. I could see multiple MVPs. That's how good I think this kid is going to be. And I could also say that about a guy that plays over there with the Bengals because he's showing me, Joe Burrows is showing me that he's the real deal. He really is. I mean, say whatever you want about Cincinnati, and they're not a good team. But Joe Burrows, week in and week out, he shows he plays hard. He wants to be on the field. He wants to make that last throw. He wants to make the last play. He wants to be the guy that wins the game for his team. Right. That's all you ask for a starting quarterback.
And kind of like what I was saying with the Panthers, the Bengals have hung tough in games because of Burrow. They lost 2 shootouts to Cleveland. They lost a close game to the Colts, who are a playoff team right now. They've hung tough with certain teams. Besides the Steelers, where he was really bad, that was really the only bad game he's had so far. And the first week of the season too. But the Bengals should have won that game, too. They got a bad call against them that gifted the Chargers.
And before we get into basketball, I will say this. As far as the Baltimore Ravens are concerned and the Indianapolis Colts, I do believe teams are figuring out Lamar Jackson. I do believe it. I do believe that he is going to have problems in the playoffs like he has the last 2 seasons. He is a great regular season quarterback. But when it comes to the playoffs and teams know what you're strong at, we've seen this before. We saw this at the time the San Diego Chargers did to him, and they put a spy safety behind him and made sure that he couldn't run outside the pocket. Teams are figuring out how to stop Lamar Jackson, making him throw the ball, making him show his arm off and see if he could beat you with his arm, not his legs. And you're seeing that week in and week out. Indianapolis, I don't know what happened. Indianapolis looked like they were controlling the game in the first half of the game, and then completely fell apart in the second half. And Lamar Jackson ran all over him in the second half.
Yeah, it's showing that Indianapolis, too, is a different team than they once were. They're great. Their defense has been great all year, and it continued to be great in this game against Lamar Jackson. The problem is they can't just rely on – if they can't run the ball, they don't have the same passing game they once did when Andrew Luck could carry them, and obviously Peyton Manning going way back could carry them. Now they have the running game that has been good for the most part this year. It just wasn't good in this game. So when they're not balanced on offense, it really shows that they're iffy team at best.
Well, I will say this. They got to stop worrying about how many flips they do when they score touchdowns, okay? I watched that on ESPN, Hines, and he athletic as an MO. And I'm not going to say what as a mother, you know what. I'm not going to say it on our radio show, but he's unbelievably athletic. He could be a gymnast. But to do flips and show off on the field, and I respect him. I heard what Frank Wright said about him. He's a very well-respectable guy in the locker room. He's not a show-off. He's a quiet guy. He listens and he works hard. That's great. But when you're doing those flips, you better, if you're going to do those flips and you're going to stick it to other teams, you better be ready to be attacked if you're not winning. So
and just don't do it on every touchdown too, because then you might have injury issues like David Wilson did when he did that on every touchdown.
Absolutely. And by the way, John Ferris says, just imagine Miami drafted Herbert because Miami was actually thinking before they decided to go with Tua. I agree with you. I think Herbert is going to be he's going to be like a Patrick Mahomes. I really do believe that the Chargers got it right. They got it right. Did they move up for him?
No.
He was drafted at 7, right?
6. It was just their pick. Yeah.
So I was very surprised that Miami didn't pick Justin Herbert, and they decided to go with Tua.
I think that was just a smokescreen. Yeah. But I agree with him in the sense where they should have. If they did, they could be maybe 6-2 right now. They could be right with the Bills.
A lot better.
Right with the Bills.
A lot better. Yeah. A lot better if they had Justin Herbert, because the Chargers are just not good. Their offensive line's terrible.
Now the other question you have to think about though is would he have had the opportunity right away too? Because
yes.
Remember.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Absolutely.
Because also, remember, Brian Flores didn't start Tua right away, and also the Chargers didn't start Herbert right away. It was, remember that whole blood clot thing with Tyrod Taylor, too. So you wonder what would have happened. But in that circumstance, if he did play the whole season, yes, absolutely.
I think so. I absolutely think so. Now I want to get into some NBA conversation, and we're going to have Mark hopefully on in just 1 second. So I'm sure he's going to have his thoughts with the New York Knicks. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about the New York Knicks, and we're here in New York, and I've been reading a lot of stories, and I know the Knicks are trying to bring in Chris Paul, a veteran. They're trying to make a trade. I've been hearing Kevin Knox and possibly a future first-round draft pick next year to bring in a Chris Paul. I do not trade a first-round draft pick for Chris Paul. You got to take a 2-year deal worth about $42 million a year. That's a lot of money. I would say that's about who do we got? Oh, Mark's gonna come on. Or he can't come on the camera or something?
Yeah, I think the code is just messed up this time.
It's all right. Put Mark on the phone. But I've been hearing stories that LaMelo Ball might be an interest to the New York Knicks. And the thing is with LaMelo Ball, and I will say this, you can let him in, Speedy. You can let him in. He can hear what I got to say about LaMelo Ball. If the Knicks decide to move up and get LaMelo Ball, and there's quite possibly could happen if he falls out of the first 2 picks, because I could see who's picking at number 3.
It's the Hornets. That's the one team I think that would take him, though, because they need a point guard badly for losing Kemba.
But if you can get LaMelo Ball, and I could see Michael Jordan taking 2 or 3 first-round draft picks for LaMelo Ball. I could see Michael Jordan doing that because it can rebuild his organization for the better. If you believe in LaMelo Ball and you believe that he can be that other guy, and if you bring in Chris Paul as your point guard, you need a 2 guy. You need a 2 guard that could be a wing, 6'6", could play defense, long, and could shoot the 3. LaMelo fits in every single category there. If you're going to bring him in, you better hope that he's the player that you believe he's going to be. Because if he isn't, and he turns into Alonzo Ball, you can set the team back for many, many years to come. Mark, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, guys, what's up?
So what do you think about the stories coming out from the Knicks organization and possibly moving up to get LaMelo Ball? Do you do that?
Yeah, everything I've heard about the Ball family, they're trouble. I mean, it seems like the father's a psychopath, and everything that happens is bad. So anything that Knicks usually touch turns to junk anyway. So we're talking about an organization that, I mean, have they been relevant since Van Gundy left? Maybe for a couple of years. So I mean, look, they finished with the worst, if second, first, third worst record in the league, and they couldn't even get in the top, couple of choices. So it doesn't seem like they really get many breaks. But it's hard. Every draft pick they've had going back to Patrick Ewing and Mark Jackson has been pretty bad. So you tell me.
Well, finally, maybe the Knicks will actually land on one. We've seen this over and over again. Hey, look, the Jets landed on Quinn Williams. Maybe they got a good pick. I mean, Quinn Williams, Mekhi Beckham, he looks like a player. I mean, maybe the Jets got it right. I mean, so you always, in 20, 30 years, if you hit it wrong, maybe 1 year you hit it right. And I think they got it right with R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett's a good player. R.J. Barrett's going to be a superstar in his league. So you can't say that every single year the Knicks have hit it wrong. R.J. Barrett's going to be a superstar in his league.
You got to wait. I mean, R.J. Barrett, so far, the first year he was there, the Knicks were worse than they've been ever. So, I mean,
one player doesn't change a team, Mark. One player doesn't change a team in basketball.
The fact that you can't say, oh, that's a good pick yet, until they start showing signs of improvement. Right now, they don't have that. If next year they come out and win 35 games, yeah, and he averages 15, 9, and 4, 5, yeah, okay, then he was a good pick. But we've seen guys have one good year or 2 good years, when they come up. And I remember when Ralph Sampson first came up, everyone thought he was going to be great. And he played for 4 or 5 years and made it to the finals.
R.J. Barrett is a different player, Mark. Come on.
Well, I know he's a different player than Ralph Sampson.
Yes.
But, I mean, there have been other players that have been guards or small forwards, that have played well for maybe their rookie year or a couple of years. But his playing well didn't equate to wins. That's only really what's going to matter. A weak team around him, no doubt about it.
Who was the coach? Who was he? David Fizdale? Come on, man. You had David Fizdale got fired. He had a new coach. You had Miller. Miller is a guy that nobody even heard of right now. I think he's gonna be part of Van Gundy's assistant coaches on the bench. He didn't even get brought back for the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. So again, you're absolutely right. The Knicks they have not hit on picks. Kevin Knox being one of them. Ntilikina looks like he's turning into a pretty decent player. So there are players that are starting to develop. You're absolutely right. You have to see the growth of the team. But now you can honestly say that the Knicks have a real coach, a guy that actually knows how to coach.
I like Thibodeau. I absolutely like Thibodeau. You know, but they have done very few things right. I mean, if you remember when they drafted Nate Robinson, he had a couple good years. They've been a couple picks that have been okay, not great, not.
David Lee was good. Mm-hmm. David Lee was good. David Lee was good.
I was annoyed when they got rid of him. Yeah.
Again, David Lee was probably an average, above average player.
He was an all-star.
He was an all-star, I think, twice.
He was an all-star. He was an all-star. He was good.
Okay, so let's not compare him to like the best players in the league.
I didn't say that.
Like, he was a good player. He was a good player. Was he great? Was he going to be the difference in you winning and losing? No. You know, I like Gallinari. I thought Gallinari was a good pick, but again, he had a limit. And then the guy, Kristoff was a good.
Hold on. So you're going to tell me Danilo Gallinari it was a better pick than David Lee? He was a better player than David Lee.
Than David Lee. I said he was a good pick.
I don't think so. Gallinari was an easy pick to trade. He was terrible. I never liked Danilo Gallinari.
He wasn't the player with the Knicks that he is now.
I think we're talking about average players. We're talking about guys that are good average players. We're not talking about guys that you're going to build a franchise around. If David Lee wasn't a guy you build a franchise around, he was with the Knicks for a couple of years.
He could have been.
500.
He was more well-rounded though than Gallinari was.
David Lee was there was seasons. There were seasons.
David Lee couldn't score like that, like Gallinari. I mean, they're different players. David Lee was a guy who's going to get you a double every night. He wasn't going to score 30 points.
Yeah, well, hold on. There was a couple of seasons. There was a couple of seasons that he averaged 18 to 20 points a game.
See, now we're really lowering the bar as far as what we see as great players. If you're going to tell me that guy.
Mark, how many great players come out of a draft? How many great players come out of a draft? Superstar players, please tell me.
But that's a different argument, okay? We're talking about different things. We're talking about one guy, David Lee, was a good player. Was he a guy you build a team around? No, you know that.
He's a piece. He's a piece you could build your team around.
But where are the other pieces? That's what I'm saying. The Knicks haven't done any of that.
Hold on. I'm going to give you David Lee's numbers, okay? As a Knick, rookie.
If you're trying to convince me that David Lee was anything better than a good player, you're wasting your breath. He wasn't. He was a guy that was a good player.
He is a piece that you can build your team around. Absolutely can. He's not a Hold on. You don't need to be a superstar player. You don't need to be a You do not need to be a superstar player to build your team around. You do not. You do not.
If you have three superstars around David Lee, yeah, okay, maybe.
Joakim Noah, was he a superstar? Was he a superstar?
Joakim Noah, okay.
Yes, was he a superstar?
He had a superstar on his team.
But was he a superstar? That's what I'm saying, Mark.
You don't have to be a superstar.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. You don't have to be a superstar.
So you're saying that David Lee was a guy who could build a team. Yeah,
you can. He could be a piece. He could be a piece.
If you have superstars on your team, you can get anybody to be a guy who built your team around. That doesn't mean anything.
David Lee was a piece that you can.
You can put Jason Williams there and Shaq there. Okay, we got a good team like Miami did in 2006. But I mean, you're not. These guys aren't guys who build a team. Like, okay, David Lee. Okay, there's my staple. No, he's not. He's a guy that is a good player. He's going to get you 10 points, 10 rebounds at least every night. He's going to do dirty work. He's going to play great defense. That's what he's good at.
Okay, so you're saying that David Lee was good at the dirty work, and he is a piece. He is a. Could I say something? Could I say something? Could I say something before you cut me off? If you're telling me, no, I'm not, because you just took me. You just did an oxymoron. You said he could be.
There's no point to what you're saying.
Yes, there is. David Lee was a good pick by the Knicks. Nate Robinson was a good pick by the Knicks. All these guys were good picks. For you to say Joakim Noah, to me, when you look at Joakim Noah, he was a piece. He was a piece the Chicago Bulls built around. He wasn't the guy, but he was a piece. He was a piece they built their team around.
He was part of Derrick Rose's team.
Okay, so Joakim Noah, how many defensive players of the year? How many defensive?
Great player, yeah. I love Joakim Noah. He did a lot of things that big men don't normally do. He was a tough guy inside. He was a great rebounder. He was a presence. I love Joakim Noah. Everybody needs a Joakim Noah on their team in order to win. Now, can you win with just him and not a dynamic scorer? No. I mean, you need guys to complement each other.
I think
guys like David Lee and Joakim Noah are great compliments to any team.
Again, and I'm going to say this over and over again, I did not say that you could build your team. He's a piece that you can build your team around. Okay? That's what I said. You're telling me no. Are you crazy? Yeah.
That's not a statement, Errol. That's not a statement. Everybody's a piece to build a team
Not
around.
necessarily. Not necessarily. And okay, so right now, when you look at the thought of what the New York Knicks are right now, tell me players that you can build your team around right now with the New York Knicks. Please. Tell me.
Right now, there's not many. I mean, I think R.J. Barrett could be. I mean, he's got to shoot better. I mean, I think Randall is a guy that has talent. Is he a guy that's going to be a difference maker? I don't think so.
Randall is a trading piece. He's a trading piece.
Right,
They're going to move him.
Yeah, he's decent. I mean, but like, is he a guy that I'm saying they're going to go to a championship with him? No.
Now let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, and we'll get into your market up. Okay. If the Knicks bring in Chris Paul, they have R.J. Barrett, and they move up to get LaMelo Ball. Are those pieces that you can say where you could be a playoff contending team? Yes or no?
You guys would know better than I would about LaMelo Ball. I don't know enough about it.
The answer is...
I would trust your opinion. If you guys think so, I would trust your opinion. I think Chris Paul is a very good player. I think he's had some bad luck. I think he's been on some bad. I think, look, anybody who goes to the Clippers, bad things are going to happen.
I absolutely believe that if you bring LaMelo Ball to this team with R.J. Barrett, you have two of your young players you can build your team around. They both start to build together. They grow together. They're both young guys, 18, 19, 20 years old. They build, they grow, and then it'll start to draw some thought in free agency on coming and playing for the New York Knicks. But also bringing in a guy like Chris Paul, a veteran guy. You saw what he did with OKC, helped an OKC team become a 5 or 6 seed in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, he can make the Knicks that much better because I think the Knicks would have more talent of young players than the OKC Thunder would from last year. So, yes, if you ask me, yes, you could build your team around LaMelo Ball and R.J. Barrett. And R.J. Barrett, the only thing I think he needs to fix is his free throws. That is it. The guy gets to the bank. He gets to the rim at will. He draws fouls at will. There's only 2 players in the NBA that draw more fouls than R.J. Barrett did last year. And you know who they are. Harden being one of them. So R.J. Barrett gets to the line. He just needs to start shooting free throws and start hitting them. Besides that, I do think you could build around LaMelo Ball and R.J. Barrett. But go ahead. Are you ready? You ready to do your mark it up? Here we go.
This is Mark It Up.
Go ahead, Mark.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody play worse than he played last night. That was the most awful game I ever saw. I couldn't sit and watch it anymore. I mean, as someone who was a Jets fan, it was kind of nice to see, but at the same time, it was a horrible game to watch.
You're a Tom Brady lover. You're a Tom Brady lover.
Never been a Tom Brady lover.
Get out of here. You tell me he's the best quarterback of all time. You're a Tom Brady lover. You're out of your mind.
That makes me someone who has an intelligent mind. That doesn't make me a Tom Brady lover.
Intelligent mind?
Eligible to look at statistics and gauge what statistics mean. I've never been a Tom Brady fan. I've never rooted for him.
You're telling me he's the best quarterback of all time. You're rooting for him.
I believe I have plenty of stuff to back that up. That's not me being a holder. I've never rooted for the guy. I've never wanted him to win. Never in my life have I ever rooted for him. but I'm capable, just like if you ask me about other teams or other players that I don't. If you ask me about Jordan, I hate nobody more than Jordan, but Jordan, no doubt, is the best basketball player I saw. So you got to give certain guys credit. I can't, just because I don't like the guy, I can't say, well, he wasn't as good as he is. Then
Tom Brady is not the GOAT. He is not the GOAT. You're out of your mind.
Your opinion, that's fine. It's fine. You don't take it, that's fine. I do. I mean, it's no big deal. It doesn't make me a lover. It doesn't make me, I don't love Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan's great. I don't love Wayne Gretzky. I think Wayne Gretzky's great.
I loved watching Tom Brady struggle yesterday and look like a deer in the headlights. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Because you want to know something? Because he knows in his heart they're not winning nothing this year. They're not winning nothing this year. And when they get into the playoffs, they're going to see teams he's going to see teams that he's never seen, that he saw in the AFC. He's not going to have home field advantage like he does every single year, and he's not going to go through the Saints like he went through all the other teams and all the crappy teams that he faced in the AFC. He's got to go through round against top-end talent. Let's see what Tom Brady does against top-end talent.
Well, that's a good point.
Of course it's a good point.
You're not the only one with smarts.
I'm just speaking the truth.
It is a point, Errol.
I mean, the guy's had home field advantage for 16 seasons in a row. He's in the AFC East, which is the worst division in all of football. It's been the worst division, not anymore, because now you have the Buffalo Bills, you got Miami, hopefully upcoming New York Jets when they get their crap together, and you have the New England Patriots.
And you have the NFC East falling off a cliff.
Yeah, so you have an opportunity to see good football moving forward, and Tom Brady's no longer in the AFC. So let's see what Tom Brady does against a good Saints team, a good Seattle team, a good Green Bay Packer team, a good young Arizona Cardinal team. Let's see what he does in round for round against good talent.
He's got to prove it. He wants to win the Super Bowl this year. He's got his work cut out for him. Absolutely.
He's not winning no Super Bowl this year. I can guarantee you.
Especially now without the home field advantage. They might win a round against a bad NFC East team, but the second test is going to be tough, especially if it is the Saints again.
He is not going to win a Super Bowl this year. You can bank it. I'll put any money on it. Anybody want to bet me that Tom Brady does not win a Super Bowl? You can bank it, stamp it, because me and Jeff already have a $100 bet. Okay, he says that Tom Brady's going to the Super Bowl. This was about a month ago. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm gonna be owed $100 because he's going to be mailing me or sending me a Venmo.
I know. Look, I think what I wanted to see was who is better. Is Brady better? Is Belichick better? Who's going to do better? So far, Brady's winning that back. Okay.
Bill Belichick has 7 guys that sat out for the season.
I know, but I'm sorry. I don't want to hear any excuses about Bill Belichick. If he's the greatest coach, he's got to win. So just like I don't take any excuses from Brady. If he wants to win, he's got to win. I don't want to hear about wide receivers or about guys running the long route. If you win, you win. Bill
Belichick will have a better chance of winning a championship than Tom Brady will. I guarantee it. He will have a better chance. Not this year. Not this year.
Because they are bad.
They're bad because they have 7 starters that sat out for the whole season.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The Jets can be bad because of this. This team's bad.
Come on, Mark. Come on.
You're a great coach. If you're a great
You're
coach,
better than that, Mark.
I want to hear excuses.
Win with what? Win with what? Fourth and fifth round players?
Belichick's been great for so long. You didn't hear any of these excuses any other time. Now all of a sudden there's excuses.
I'm not making.
I don't buy it.
Hold on.
I don't.
Hold on. I'm making excuses for Bill Belichick.
I think Belichick needed Brady. I think Brady so far needed Belichick. They both kind of work well together. They both aren't as good without each other. So let's see. The Patriots have been god awful this year. There's only one offense that's worse than them, and they're playing them tonight.
Well,
they have 3 touchdown passes this year. 3. The Jets have more touchdown passes than the Patriots do.
Yes, and they're not, and they can't stop the run. And you know the Jets are going to try to run the ball a lot tonight with LaMichael Piron and Frank Gore.
I mean, you and I know this is the only game the Jets have a shot for.
They're not winning this game. They're not winning this game.
And they're not going to win. They're not going to face any worse offensive team.
The Patriots are going to have at least 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game. The Jets are going to give up at least 2 or 3 touchdowns against the Patriots in this game. This defense.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah,
I don't think the Jets are going to win a game. I mean, even as bad as the Patriots are, the Jets are worse.
But I do believe you'll see a lot of havoc at the line of scrimmage with Quinnen Williams. I think Quinnen Williams is going to cause a lot of trouble at the line of scrimmage. I think he's going to cause a lot of trouble with the Patriots.
Well, I mean, I hope so.
I
hope he does that the whole career.
I think he will.
It'd be nice to see him turn into a Joe Klecko or somebody like that. It'd be nice to see the Jets get a coach in there that could actually game plan and get, seriously, Errol, have you seen a guy worse at halftime adjustment? The Jets in the last 2 weeks, their second half offense, they've had 40 total yards in the last 2 second halves. I mean, awful. They don't even get first downs. They've 3 first downs in the last 2 games in the second half.
No thanks to the quarterback guru.
I mean, please. I mean, that is the number one sign that you can't coach, is if you don't make halftime adjustments, if you don't come out and adjust to what the other team is doing. And it's the opposite with him. They're a million times worse in the second half than they are in the first half. You look at the differences. Go to the last 2 games against Buffalo and against the Chiefs. The last 2 games, all their points in the first half, all their first downs in the first half, everything in the first half. Second half, it's like they didn't even play. That's bad. Bad coaching.
Yeah, I'm just disgusted with watching this team, and I'm talking about the Jets. Watching this team, if they win this game, it'll make me throw up. Okay, I do not want to watch the Jets. I do not want to watch the Jets win this game tonight and cost them a possible chance to get the number 1 pick. I do not want to see it. Even if the Jets win tonight, the Jets still are. They still have the number 1 pick because they have the second hardest schedule in football, right behind the New England Patriots. But they can't win 2 games. If they win 2 games, they're done. And Jacksonville gets the number 1 pick. And you do not want to see Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville.
The Jacksonville's the only other team with 1 loss right now. The Giants won yesterday, and the Falcons have 3 wins now. And okay. All right. Well, I don't think Jacksonville yesterday. I thought they were going to tie the game. I mean, even if their 6th-round pick seems better than anybody the Jets could put behind center. Flacco has absolutely had it. I mean, I don't see the Jets really scoring more than 3 points tonight. I mean, they can't really sustain an offensive drive.
I do. I do think that you're gonna see a lot of Denzel Mims in this game, and if you see a lot of Denzel Mims, especially, is Gilmore playing in this game?
I believe so.
If Gilmore's playing this game, then you're right. If Stephon Gilmore is playing in this game, then you're right. Is he playing?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Well, if Stephon Gilmore is not playing in this game, the Jets are going to have the opportunity to air the ball out. And if they have the chance to air the ball out, you might see a lot of Denzel Mims in the open field.
And being how unproven he is, too, I think you're not going to see Belichick do his bracket coverages or his triple teams that we've seen him do in the past. They might do that on Crowder more than they would do it on Mims, too.
Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see you're going to see Cam Newton have a good game, too.
No, but we all know what happened last time when they were ghost to the Meadowlands. So I don't know. Flacco won't see ghosts, though, I promise you. He might not see great receivers, but he's not going to see ghosts.
Well, Mark, you are always great. Love you on the show. Definitely do. When are we going to get you? When are we going to get you on the network to do a show?
We should have a show in the next couple of weeks.
Interesting.
Definitely in the next couple of weeks. I would love to do a show every day. But with having to work, it's a little bit harder, and even writing consistently is a little bit harder. But I find time to do it. I want to do a show at least once a week. I have a guy that I really like that does fantasy football that has agreed to do it. But again, trying to find the time. We haven't, it's okay. Well, what days are good for you? What days are consistent? Because unless it's consistent, it's something you could do to put in the bank. If I tell you, I'm going to do a show, it's something you can count on and that I do every week. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you until I can do that. All but right. I'd love to. I love this. I love talking with you guys, even disagreements, all that. All this is fun. I don't get to do any of this down here. Nobody talks sports down here. So.
We all know you're a Tom Brady lover, so that's all.
Yeah, okay. You're right. You caught me.
Tom Brady lover, a Jet fan. That's a Tom Brady lover.
the funny thing is if you ask anybody that I worked at ESPN, they would be like, they would think you're crazy because like many times I would inflate that to be like, no, this guy isn't this good. But after a while, you just couldn't do it anymore. You just couldn't do it. So
I never said he wasn't good. I just don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. I think you're out of your mind.
I mean, that's fine. I respect the fact that you think that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you make your points. I make my points. It is what it is.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, Mark, we will talk. Mark Kelly, mark it up always, every single Monday, down to the wire. Mr. Mark Kelly, stay safe over there, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. And look, call me tomorrow.
Yes,
we got to talk
yes. Yep, I agree with you. Right. Absolutely. Mark Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I want to thank Mets minor league catcher Bruce Maxwell. Great interview. If you guys didn't check it out, I'm sure Speedy will cut it up and chop it up, and you guys will get the opportunity to hear the interview. Gave us some good insight on his thoughts of what's going on in the world with the New York Mets, the Oakland A's, everything. So very, very nice kid.
Great guy.
Yep. We will be back on Wednesday, and definitely stay tuned for Below the Mic. The Wise Guys will be back next week. We're working on that. We have some new shows coming to the network, so stay tuned for that. Download our app by going to iOS, WWSRN, or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and check out our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com.
Stay tuned tonight, the debut of the PNW Sports Show at 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right. Nice. We have a new show tonight at 10 p.m. I'm sure he will, West Coast time.
Yes, it is Pacific Northwest Sports at 10 Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time.
Yeah, so there you go. So definitely stay tuned for that. Until Wednesday, this is Errol Marks and Speedy Petey and Down to the Wire saying good night, and we'll talk to you then. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.